time.
Yeah.
Okay. Amplification. Right. So here's how.
Okay. So do you want to take over the screen?
So what I need to do is I wanna walk you through where I'm at with the user interface. And I want to use our conversation to generate definitions for the areas of the interface, the names by giving them names, the purpose that each area serves. I want to go through some key narratives of how you would want to use the system, with the goal being that if we can do the same reasoning process with the UI, then I can include those definitions in the bots when people are asking for help or asking questions about the UI. But more importantly, when I want to put in a new feature into the UI, I can reason it through first, and it can present me with several examples of where might be a good place to put it, because that's hard to do.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Right.
Can I just check? Is this being recorded?
This is being recorded, yeah. Well, how else would you...
Yeah, I was just checking, because you're saying you finished the last one. Because
sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Really
fair enough.
Really
fair enough. Okay. Now let me just.
Okay. So where we're starting?
Give me just a half a damn minute.
Come on, man. Hurry up. Good God, man.
Christ Almighty.
May Jesus and Joseph and the wee donkey.
Christ. Oh. Hey. And we're up. Sorry, there's things in Singapore. Now.
It's very clean. No chewing gum.
Oh, is that a bit of a problem where you're from?
Not really. I just don't like chewing gum.
Okay.
It's an instant way of making your stuff look stupid.
I'll remember that next time I buy some extra. Okay, so MCP that blah 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 blah.
Right. Okay.
Alright, so this is the three-box UI.
Right.
I also sent this to you in WhatsApp. Yes, clearly you don't read my stuff. And the other issue I want to bring up with you is that for some reason, sometimes I think you either leave your desktop client on or something like that, and then I send you a message, and even though I know you're asleep, it goes green. It goes blue. Like you read it. And then I'm like, is this thing fucking on? What is even happening here?
I think it's a Mac thing, because I close my Mac, I switch off my...
Your Mac doesn't go to sleep. Your Mac doesn't go to sleep. You know how I know? Is because the other month you burned $30 worth of constant polling updates, because you must have had 1,000,001 tabs still open of the old Dreamcatcher that was running all night long. Your MacBook doesn't go to sleep. It should. I think all your problems would go away if your MacBook went to sleep.
Monsieur, je désolé.
Je désolé. Sacre bleu.
Yeah, no, I just close it. I should put it.
You check your power settings. You're not going to sleep. It's.
Yeah, I'm probably burning the planet as well. Yeah, very good point. Well made.
Okay, so here. Oh, look at that. This is the evolution of the three-box UI. We have here on the left the list of chats.
Yep.
We have at the bottom of the list of chats, we have the...
Bob.
Yeah, which is like the user admin panel. It needs a name. It's basically, the idea is you click on this, you can sign out, you can get help, and the help... The principle at play here is that everything is supposed to start a new chat. So when I hit help, what it's supposed to do is if I'm here, looking in this thread here, which is like information about blah, 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 I should be able to come in here, hit help, and then it's going to start a new thread, which it doesn't, but you get help by talking. you don't get help by reading a web page or being redirected. Everything.
Absolutely,
Yep. Okay.
absolutely.
Now,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
add credits again starts a new chat. It's context aware. It knows about what payment methods you have or haven't got. It guesses at what you are probably going to want to use, and then it walks you through how to add through a credit card some ETH or some Bit,
Absolutely.
all that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, the balance.
Huge
This is
supporter.
how much credit you've got. This is a contentious issue, but I was thinking we'll just show the balance in USD. No matter what you got, we're going to charge USD to start with.
Hey, whatever. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was good.
And one of the most contentious questions we have to answer, you and me, is does the decentralized AI platform actually need an intrinsic currency? And I would say yes, not for any one reason, but because there's a lot of reasons that sort of need it. And in my world, a lot of sorta equals a definitely.
I would also answer yes from a different vector.
What's that?
In that there needs to be a large number of transactions between
Yeah, but
vectors and AIs.
transactional efficiency is irrelevant of having an internal currency or not, because you could simply wrap Dogecoin and then microtransact in wrapped Doge,
Yeah,
right?
sure, but
So that's not a good example.
no, the point I was making is that if it was USD, as you just said it was, then transactional cost may become an issue. If it was
No,
Doge,
because again, it's wrapped. It's micro transactions on our platform that you periodically cash out once there's enough.
or that periodic cash out is a thing. So your question was, does it need an internal token?
Yeah.
I think possibly, but is there any token that we can just adopt with the idea of off the shelf is better than writing ourselves?
Look, just use ETH or USDT or whatever. But I think we'll go into should there be a decentralized currency in another session. I think that's a pretty deep topic.
Yeah.
Please,
Okay,
may I skip
cool.
that now?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, we got your toggle light mode, toggle dark mode, because I knew you wanted that.
Yeah, because I'm dark. My soul is dark.
I was gonna say because you're light. You just need some contrast in your life. Okay, now the list of chats, you have basically just the options for each chat is you can select it and go to it, or you can delete it. Now, where it gets interesting.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And I'm just trying to set the scene here, right?
I'll stack the question.
Yeah. Now, inside the chat sidebar, you got new chat, which is easy enough to imagine, but you got the search chats. And search chats was supposed to be a special one where you click it, and what's going to happen is it's going to make a new chat with all of the chats loaded as context.
Brilliant. Yes.
So that you can chat about the chats.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
And then you can.
That's my use case that is close to my heart.
Tell me.
Last Christmas, I chatted to you about the presents I gave to my family and loved ones, and I don't want to do the same thing.
Oh, your family's not your loved ones. Yeah. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But I can't remember when. I don't want to scroll down and read.
Oh, yep. Okay.
A whole bunch.
Okay. All right. So I'll go. Yeah. So you'd use this to find out that list, and then another narrative that I would want you to have in this function is to be able to do operations on chats. Like if you said, say you did that search you just mentioned for all of the Christmas presents, and you got back 17 different threads. You could say, I want to merge all these as one and carry on. And then it would squish them all, right?
And I'll give you another use case. I would like to narrow down my all these chats that you found. I want to find out what we said about tinsel.
How is
Um,
that a new narrative?
because you're giving it a context to squish it down. You're saying ignore anything that wasn't um, talking
Oh,
about Timson.
so you like recursively segmented the group of chats. Is that what you're
Yeah,
talking about? Yeah. Okay. All right. Great.
exactly,
All right. So that's
exactly.
what that's all about. Then, moving into the main window of the application, in the top left, you got this toggle sidebar button, which is really just to
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Boring. Yeah. Sorry.
hang on,
Sorry.
buddy. Hang on. What's not boring is this. Um, when you hit mobile, that's why this
Hmm.
stuff gets sort of important because you need to be able to do that, but also have some of the other see like it, but it needs to behave differently. Like in mobile, you can only deal with one block at a time. Like either it's all the chats, or it's all the chat history, or it's all the state board, or it's that's
Ah.
you
Oh,
know
I
what I
see what
mean?
you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, you're just the worst
You know
person to
my.
demonstrate to. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've got a visceral antipathy to
yeah, I know, but
it's.
here's the issue, right? Like we're starting to get close to the main problem. This is a drop down that represents naps. These are the naps that if you had one selected, when you click new chat, I would expect that it would use that nap to begin with. But
Yes.
what I think is also legitimate is that halfway through a chat, you can hit that drop down and you can change the nap that you're talking to. Does that sound like a legitimate thing to do? Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Okay.
I've been doing a similar thing with Cursor in
All right.
that
You switch models.
I switch models
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
switch back to models.
All right. Fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. And but then what I've done here is this last thing is a button, and that says configure chat models. And what that means is that you hit that, and it will start a chat that is about the naps listed in this box. So you can modify the short view, but you can also modify the existing naps to either use a different nap or have some different files or have some different context and all that. That's your chat to configure how you make new chats.
Ah, that is interesting. Can I ask you to? I'm going to do this silence thing that I've been practicing. Can you say that again more slowly?
Sure. This drop down box is where you select the nap that you're going to be conversing with or change it in the middle of a conversation. At the
Hmm.
bottom, there is a button that is always there no matter what this dynamic list of naps is. It's called Configure Chat Models, and you use it to modify the available models and their settings. When you click it, it starts a new chat where loaded into context is all of the available naps. And then you can configure the short list that shows up in every window or every session of which naps you can select from the drop down, or you can navigate around and search for a particular nap and then start a chat with that. Or you can modify naps, as in change the tools, change the files they start with, or other such configuration parameters. It's the way to chat with naps
That
before you use
that
them.
that feels like an admin power tool. Um, and
Yeah,
I
well,
like
okay,
it.
well, let me add in the real thorn in my side and then come back to that bit.
Mm.
Okay, so here we've got in this main window, we've got the chat history.
Yep.
No surprises there. This is the fix button.
Uh-huh.
The idea is that you hit that and that creates a stuck.
Ah, yes. I like the icon, by the way.
The
It's much
spanner.
better than the icon.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you can hit the fix response button, and
And
that
then
will
you can
create a
go
stuck.
into
And the
what
idea
you
is that that's
uh,
supposed to start a new chat that is talking about the context that just cause you to click that, and the chat is with the stuck snap, the stuck creator
Yes,
nap.
and you're talking. You've taken a step back, and you're now talking in definitions terms as a direct stuck.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. This is a direct a declared
yeah,
stuck where
yeah,
you've made it yourself. Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
Lovely,
Now,
lovely. That's brilliant.
just for completeness sake, the input box, free text here, real time transcription going on here, where you're just like chatting away and then it's popping up. Whoop de doo. Um, Attachments for files, whatever.
Yeah,
The
easy.
send button, blah blah blah. Now, where does it get curly? This button, open chat controls.
Okay, all right.
This is curly because it is the place where the context of the chat is managed. For example, I want to hit that, and then I should be able to see all of the tools that are available in the chat. I may or may not wish to modify them. I should be able to hit that, and I can see what files are in context in the chat. I should be able to add files from many different repos into the
Cursor-like.
context.
I'm
What's that?
saying as cursor-like. Yeah, it's like
Cursor like,
text.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. But instead of having, see, in cursor they sort of have the context in band,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
think that doesn't having it out of band. First of all, keeps your in band stuff nice and clean. But second of all, allows you to configure it on the fly, because in cursor you can't, for example, modify your prompt that's going on behind the scenes to the models on the fly. You can't. I guess you sort of have that in the cursor composer, but it's just not it. This is really the conundrum. This button is the conundrum button, and there's one more piece of the puzzle I need to load into your brain. Is that there's another mode we have here, which is the stateboard mode. So when something occurs that modifies the stateboard, it makes this little thing here. Also, sorry for the jumble, there is some ability to have little pieces of information pop up in band. So, for example, tell me what the weather is in San Francisco right now.
Okay, so it's just transcription, thinking.
See, I can have little bits of UI, like that was the weather box. So for some activities, I can show some UI not in stateboard, but in context or in chat, where
Right.
like there are certain cases where that's more relevant. But here is an example of what the stateboard looks like. It indicates here that it's done something with the stateboard, in this case creating a document. I click on that chat event. I think I've just called it a chat event because like that would be a chat event, and that's a
Yeah,
chat
yeah,
event. Maybe there's a
yeah.
better name, whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
But when it does that, that's when it clicks into the stateboard mode. And now here we have the stateboard, which is an entirely separate thing. When you're in
Right.
stateboard mode, you cannot be you can't be browsing the chats, because stateboard mode means that you only have the current chat history, the input box, and the stateboard.
Okay, so when you go into Haiku Collection,
Yeah,
um, I get what you're saying, that you're now hermetically sealed area.
yeah,
Um, Now, let's say if there are a whole bunch of widgets. Now,
This is where complex widgets would display as well. The state board can be
right, right.
anything.
So
It is
that
a
is
big widget, whereas this is like
so
a mini widget, and the state board is big widget.
so the state board is a kind of one-way broadcast in this. Now, um, the one thing I would ask for is, given a state board of any type, let's say a battlefield, and you go click, 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 click.
Yeah.
You kind of want a way of bringing that interaction back in.
Yeah. So how that's going to work is that the state board is connected to the selection model. So when I go like that and select a block of text, I would expect that inside of or adjacent to or connected in some way to the input box, it would indicate that I'd made a selection, a brief summary of what that selection is.
That makes sense to me, because
Yeah.
the state board is like, okay, so I'm going to give you lots of information.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
select that, and that the reason for that selection is you're reducing the information provided by the state board to what you're interested in at that point.
Yeah, that's right.
And then
That's
you
right.
go
That's right.
back to
That's right.
influence.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So it'll be a little bit tricky to make, but I think I will enjoy it, in that even when you click on elements in the chat history, they should still be counted as selections being made that are added to the selection context, or the selected something, the selected attachments, which are going to be part of the next time you send a message to the LLM. It's also going to be told that you have currently selected these items, which can be,
Right.
they can be on the state board, or they can be in the chat history.
Yeah, there's a possible rule here, isn't there? The state board presents you with a way of navigating through a much larger piece of data, and then selecting what you're actually interested in. So a state board is all about giving you the opportunity to actually be more precise.
Yeah. Or operate in a different mode. Like, for example, in mapping mode, where you're able to pick a GPS location based on how the land looks, is a different mode of communicating than trying to do it in GPS coordinates, for
Well,
example.
there's a good example. So you're presented a map, and you scroll around the map because it's a widget, and then it's like, this is this, and you don't want to be writing it down on a piece of paper, and then going back to your thread, and then typing it back in.
Right, now this gets...
This works. This works.
Yeah, I know this works, because this is what we discussed previously. This is not the problem. The problem is this chat context button. Because what I expect this open chat controls button, or chat context management thing, to do is I expect it to open a state board where the state board is about this chat, and that's the kicker, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
No, that's hugely powerful.
Okay, it's a specialized state board that's all about this chat.
Yeah, what you're considering.
And in that state board, it has things like, if there were documents that you created, they would be listed here. It's like, you made the Haiku collection document, you made the how to get different intonations on your farts document, you made whatever. Then there'd be like files. These are the files that are currently in scope for this chat.
That's the word, scope.
Scope, yeah. And then there's like what tools are currently available, or better yet, what naps are currently available, and what tools of those naps are available. You should be able to add them in, take them out, modify them using the widget here, or having a chat with it directly, or, just bear with me, kicking into here and going configure, and then having a chat in the background, maybe, right? Or last way is calling search chats, narrowing down to the chat you want to search about, and then you can do your very precise reconfiguring in there.
Can I just trace through that? So let's
Okay,
start
sure.
with search. So I've looked for in all my chats whenever I talked about presents for my family for Christmas,
Yeah,
and it will come up with something.
yeah,
Then I go to the top right. I should be able to see the smush of all the previous chats, and there may
yeah.
be more than one where I've talked about presents.
Yep, because that would be in
And
the,
that
added to the context.
now that is a thing. Now I should be able to suggest here's a nap which is a
Yep.
present chooser.
Yep.
And
And,
it's
you know,
like,
would you like to
oh,
start a
that
new
looks good.
conversation with this nap, with this narrowed scope?
Right.
And then it's
you
a
go,
suggested button, and you go, yep,
I'm up for that. And
Yep.
then, so now I've got a smushed context. I know the context. I know it's not, because I've been sloppy thinking about, my work accounts package or whatever.
yep,
I know this. This is what we're talking about, and it's like, oh, here's some naps that can help. It's like, oh, that sounds useful. Okay, bang. Then what's the last step there? Where you got the pull down to the configure. So now we've got here's the context, and I've added a nap to consider this. That configure chat models.
But hang on, were you just in this? You just clicked search chats, and you were in a chat about the chats, and you narrowed down to everything.
Narrowed it down. So now that's context.
And then what I would expect is that in the chat you would be presented with some example buttons where it's like start new conversation with your configured context, and it's gonna, when you click that, it's gonna be the same as hitting start new chat, but it's going to use the nap that you just picked, and it's going to use the chats that you just added to context.
I get that.
Okay, sorry.
But the question is, in that flow, so search, constrain, go to top right.
Right.
I can see the constraints, suggested nap. Yes, I'm happy with that nap. Now I've got a thread.
Yeah.
Now where it is GPT for Mini now.
Yeah.
Under configure chat models, what's that step?
What would that do? That's not anything part of this. I mean, I could make it have a second suggested button here that's like add to your hot list, add to short list of naps,
right. Okay.
and then that would sort of like
that makes sense.
Insert it up there.
Yeah,
Another way that you could have achieved the same thing you just mentioned by going from search is to click on configure chat models, and then do the same procedure you just outlined, but you've just done it. You've come at it from a different way. That's
other direction, and then you could do the search, and you've already configured your. Your
and lastly, you could have actually done all that so long as you were in a nap that was not constrained so much that it didn't have access to these workbench level tools, like show me all the chats and let me modify the context of the current thread. So long as you had access to those tools, you could do all of that within any chat. These buttons are there just as like sugar to like, because under the hood, all they're doing is they're just loading up a chat with some pre-selected context and some specific prompts. You could do all that directly in a chat without any of these buttons, but it would just be a dog to use.
Yes.
Like it would be error prone, and it would be frustrating.
And also, if you go down the wrong way, say if you go down a rabbit hole, but there's like 10% gold at the bottom of the rabbit hole. You can then search for it.
Yeah, and it also, just like how you get these starter for 10 buttons, being able to click one of these really rapidly helps you get what you want done by sort of kickstarting you down the right path, as opposed to you coming in and discovering it from a blank sheet and reading off cheat codes from the back of some seedy magazine.
as described, I love this.
Okay, great.
In the
All right.
same way as I love Cursor, I think this is better than Cursor for
Now
a number of reasons.
the final problem was what we've all been leading up to here.
Uh-huh.
The configuration of access to remote files in a chat context, such as I have come in as a user, a regular user, and now I want to access the company's CRM.
Okay, so that comes down to a combination of the Access NAP, which is NCP compliant, and the company CRM is also NCP compliant.
Yeah, I think so.
And you have access.
And I think that all that's happening is when I pop up the chat controls in the widget that shows up there, or having entered configure chat models during the configuration of the chat, which I think should bring up the same widget, I can search for remote servers that I can have access to or ask for access to, and then add that as context. And I can add it in two ways. I can add it as the raw API of the NAPs and or the natural language interface of the NAPs on the remote server. So that means that I could take a NAP from anywhere, including possibly the CRM, run it on my local host, and then use the API calls back to the CRM to make API calls that are allowed. That's one option. The second option is that I could take the natural language, the NAP from the CRM, run it on my local instance with the prompt and the recommended model and all that, and then it makes the calls back to the CRM using the API, which would sound the same, except for the fact that I could be controlling it with one of my NAPs on my local host too. So for example, I might speak Japanese. All my NAPs are in Japanese, but it knows to pull in this NAP from the CRM to be able to make because the function calls are all labeled and programmed in English. Right. And the last way that you can do all of that is that you can actually, the last two ways you can do that are that you can have access to the CRM and you can chat to it directly. So in that case, you would use a NAP on this side that was really just a very thin proxy NAP, where its job was to just pass whatever you said straight through to the remote system. And so your text prompts go straight through to the remote NAP. It executes the inference on its end, and then the response comes back and you're presented with it here. You didn't pay for the inference, anything like that. As far as you're concerned, it was a remote API call that was with an agent. And the final way, and I promise I'll stop talking, the final way is all that, but one of your NAPs that could be in Belarusian communicated using MCP over to the natural language interface of the CRM, which was in English, which then called the NAP tools on the CRM to get some stuff done and then gave you back a result. Because you might have been doing a very complex workflow that involved reading the stock market, reading the weather, and then making some changes in the CRM, but the CRM doesn't need to know any of that. It just knows that it did what it was told.
Okay.
There, done.
I know you're over your 10 minutes now, so I'm going to keep this real short.
Oh, dear.
But a question.
Yeah.
In the top right, when you're seeing context, can you add in more than one NAP?
Yes, you can add arbitrarily many. As
Right.
well, you may be able to add in a NAP that can search for NAPs, so that you should, with a properly configured NAP, be able to access every NAP ever written.
Right. Okay, good.
By
So
walking, by recursively walking.
Exactly. So you go up there and they're saying, okay, so I've just been hired by this New Zealand company, and I only speak Belarusian.
Yep.
I'm going to add in Belarusian translation app.
Yep.
I'm going to add in New Zealand CRM app.
Yep.
And I'm going to add in whatever my job is.
Yep.
I don't know, marketing NAP.
Yep. Yep.
And is there any other NAPs out there that can help me with marketing?
Yeah, and the purpose
like
there is that you can very quickly, using that context programmer,
nice.
wire things up. You can either do it by clicking around, or you can do it by chatting, where the system itself will help you assemble these connections of things.
So that top right needs a kind of that's what we used to call the orchestrator, right? It's like
no, the top right, we never we sprinkled the functions of the top right throughout the interface. We tried to pack it into that little remote button that I had. We tried to make it be the router or switchboard.
This is a better way of doing it. Basically, what
switchboard is probably closest.
Is you're adding this capability, this capability, this capability, this capability.
Yeah.
And that one of those access to the CRM infers the requirement of authentication, which is another app. But you don't need to explicitly say the authentication is there because the NAP requires it. So you got a stack of NAPs and you've got a stack of context, natural language, and then you go back and saying, this is what now I'm talking about. So let me think about this today, but because I'm aware of your time, I think that's actually really quite sweet.
Okay.
It's a sweet way of doing it, I think.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I think that is a really quite nice way of doing it because you're kind of just stacking capabilities with context and then going back to a thread and saying, right, now you've got the capability of talking to the CRM in Belarusian, and I'm doing marketing, and you've got an app that helps me with marketing, talks to X and posts to X, another app.
Yeah.
Boom. And it's right, now I can just do my job. It's just like a stack of naps. And then the naps work out how they talk to each other.
Yeah.
And they know what they're talking about because you give them the context.
Yeah.
That feels. I try not to think with my belly. That feels right, but I try not to think about my belly.
Your belly.
Think of my mind. Mind is usually
in your belly. That feels right.
But
Dude, no one asked you to eat the thing, did they?
It feels right. But might be wrong. But on first blush, I'll spend a bit of time today thinking about that. But
all right, so blush, this was how that little window is supposed to look, right? And is that when you click it, you get things like content, like did you upload some files? There'll be like repos, which is down there. There'll be like artifacts, as in, did you create anything in this chat? And here it is. And then when you click on it, you can go into it. Are there chats? It's basically the thing with Cursor is that managing of the context is a little bit clunky. We're giving the context management. We think it's so complex that we're giving it its own dedicated stateboard widget.
Can I? So I've got. Sorry, not to cut you off. But time.
I'm done. I'm done.
Question. Can I give one idea, and I'm not going to in great detail at all. It occurred to me yesterday, and I put it down inside of my Inventor notebook.
Dude, you would have been done already if you had just led with the idea.
All right. CubeSats.
If you had 3 words before you die. Okay, right. Yep, CubeSats.
CubeSats seem to have a number of similar characteristics to NAPs.
Okay, I don't see them, but tell me.
Okay, so they're self-contained by function, right? That's number one, right? They've got a common interface. There's interestingly enough, they have to stay within the limited set of resources, and I'll come back to that. The reuse, they have a knowable behavior that's proven, evals, intend to be a building block for use. Almost at random, you can put any CubeSats together. You've got that kind of 1 units, then you got up to, I think, 3x4 units in order to make a satellite. And the reason to allow that is they create new value. That sounds a lot like a NAP. Now, I'm not suggesting anything here. I'm just trying to put a wee seed in your mind about that limited resources piece. So, if you've got a NAP, the thing I think people are going to be concerned about is if I have a stack of 12 NAPs, am I going to end up with a bill? Whereas a CubeSat says, I've only got 0.5 amps to use, and I will never go above 0.5 amps. But how I use that internally is up to me. Now, with the NAP format, when we've got multiple models...
Yeah, so the part of the NAP execution environment that we haven't mentioned in the definitions is the requirement to manage payment and to also constrain payment. So you're like, this execution is allowed to take at most 5 minutes and $2 and no more.
Yeah, exactly. And the interface is, we know that because it's a NAP, you can combine it with as many NAPs as you want. And you can also model, because you've got, a stack of 12 NAPs. The total is going to take no more than 90 seconds, and it's going to cost no more than 60 cents. There's a thing here. I just wanted to put that wee seed in your head.
I can't see it personally. I don't think the metaphor is strong enough. But if that works for you, then that's good.
I don't know if it works for me or not.
Okay, all right.
It's one of these things that it's like it seems very, very similar.
Just before we go, I found a company called Scramjet that deals with what sounds like naps.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, bloody hell. Come on, guys.
So here's
a chance. We haven't even written it down yet.
Yeah, I know. Okay. They're like your code with current industry tools, your code with Scramjet. All right. That's fun. Check what you can do. Private data mesh, cloud native data mesh, hybrid data mesh, distributed data mesh, virtual data mesh. So, like, they look pretty early, and they're definitely not doing naps. But my point is that the definitions of a nap environment, if we were to write the definitions of the nap execution environment independent of implementation, it would possibly look like this even.
Yeah, I don't know, because this is all kind of, hey, we're brilliant and we got a big cloudy thing. And
I know.
Blah, blah, blah. Very little information there. However, what I do draw from that is that idea of that. Well, they're talking about a different thing. We're talking about economically, how do you get enough people with enough ideas inside of
but the naps are the naps are a good enough product to spin out on their own, just like the DAI is a good enough product to spin out on its own. So
I think so.
I don't know why it is that we've ended up thinking that we, just to get the crappiest version of the Dreamcatcher going, we need like 3 new products to all work together.
Yeah,
well, I can't see a better way than that.
That is a question, and one thing I can work on if this would be valuable is I'm concerned that with decentralized AI, we just added a ton of work, months of work onto your plate.
No, dude. Well, keep in mind that I've been chasing this thing. This is what I've been designing for, is decentralized AI this whole time. That's why we have multi-threaded blockchains. That's why we have AI running on our blockchains. It's
Yeah,
really
but
not that much more work, honestly.
okay, all right. Okay, so back in my mind, I was thinking, shit, have we just added now 3 months of work
No,
to
you got to
do
be
to
careful with
actually do
that. Like
anything?
this for since I started working on this full time in 2015. Okay, this has always been the architectural goal. So these guys here, Troy sent me this and was like, "Hey, check these guys out. They're doing,
Lightchain AI. Okay.
yeah, they're trying to do
Visual
blockchain,
Alien.
but with
Uh,
AI native,
yeah,
sort of.
I guess my concern, not my concern, but my observation is there seems to be enough intelligent people working in the same problem
Yeah, which is
space
good.
as
No,
we
that's
are.
good. It's good because it doesn't sound crazy anymore. And all we got to
We're
do,
not crazy, you know, but we need to like
that's
at
what a
least be
crazy
win.
person
Or
would say.
yeah,
But
if we're in the top
ignoring that,
three.
yeah, if we what it means is that there's a language developing, there's a way to assess these things, there's pros and cons and design trade-offs being explored. And so if we can hit the scene and we're like, this is how we're doing it, then that is better than just turning up with nothing to compare it to, right? And then
Yes, I
more
agree.
importantly, this graph, which is like how we're going to implement a a capital coordination
That's a
system from
lovely graphic.
1604. It is lovely, but what it says is ugly. And it's like, well, we would launch without that. We would launch with no tokenomics. We would only launch with ambient attribution. And I think that is a golden story to be told.
Yes.
I'm going to go. I'm going to stick around. I'm going to shut down the video and then I got to upload it.
Yeah, cool. Let's do
Anything
it.
else you want to add before we close
No,
up?
no, I
No.
think we've